So for these, we're just going to briefly go over all the answers. We're not going to talk about it too in depth. It's pretty straightforward. You guys know how to add. You guys know how to subtract. So we're going to go through all the answers. I want you to be checking your work to make sure you've got them all right. If something looks wrong or something doesn't make sense to you, you have a question, please just interrupt me and let me know so we could talk about it. But we're not going to spend a whole lot of time going over this. Number 2, if we add all these up, we get 7 to the 5th power. Okay, number 3, we get 8 to the negative 2, which turns into 1 over 8 squared, or 1 over 64. If we actually solve out 8 squared, 8 times 8 gives us 64. We can do that one. For number 4, we get 5 to the 1, which is just 5. For number 5, we get 3 to the power of 3. Anyone know what 3 to the power of 3 is equal to? 1? 3 times 3 times 3, right? What's 3 times 3 times 3? 27. Now, if we were doing 3 divided by 3, we would get 1. I think that might be what you're thinking. But 3 to the power of 3, multiplying it by itself that many times, 3 times 3 times 3. And number 6, we get 5 to the 4th power. Right? 1 plus 3 plus 0 is 4. And that gives us, Jackson, what did you say? 625. Very nice. That one, you don't have to work that one out. That's a little more on the difficult side, but if you know it, great. Number 7, we get, what do we get in number 7? 10 to the power of 0. Now, something we didn't talk about in our notes is that any number raised to the power of 0 is actually equal to 1. So I could have a million raised to the power of 0. That's still equal to 1. So make sure you add that in there on number 7. If you raise a number to a power of 0, it is equal to 1. All right. Number 8, we get 5 to the 6th. I'm not going to work that out. Number 9, what do we get for number 9? 7 to the power of 0. What's that equal to? 1. 7 to the power of 1 is 7, right? So 7 to the power of 0 is just 1. It's kind of a complicated explanation as to why, but just know if you raise something to the power of 0, you're going to get 1. Number 10, we get 7 to the 8th. It's going to be too big of a number to work out, so I'm going to leave it like that. On the back, you get 4 to the 10th. 2 to the negative 3rd, which is 1 over 2 to the 3rd. What's 2 to the 3rd power? 8, right? Yeah. 2 times 2 times 2, not just 2 times 3. So 1/8 is what we get. Number 13, what did you get for 13? 9 to the power of 5, good. 4 to the power of 6, because we got that invisible 1 that we want to add to my 5. Number 14. 2 to the negative 7th, put it over 1, flip it around, make it positive. 1 over 2 to the 7th. Which would I think be 128. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 64 times 2. 128. For number 16, we get 6 to the 1, which is just 6. Number 17, we get 3 to the 3 to the 5th power. Too big, I'm not gonna worry about that. Number 18, we get 10 to the negative 2, which turns into 1 over 10 squared, or 1 over 100. For number 19, we get 5 to the third. What's 5 to the third power? Anyone know 5 to the third power?
75.
Close. That's a good guess.
125.
125 is what we get. So think about 5 times 5 is 25, right?
Yeah.
And then 25 times 5. So 25, that's a quarter. If you have 5 quarters, how much money do you have?
Oh, yeah.
$1.25, right? I see why you would say 75 though, because you did 25 and then times 3. And finally, number 20, we get 9 to the power of 5. Great job. It's not too bad, right? Pretty straightforward product rule stuff. We'll make it slightly more difficult today, but as long as you guys got this down, you'll be good to go. All right, you can put those back in your folder. Take a look at 15 for me. We did number 2 together yesterday, it looks like.
No, put this on this one because we already got rid of this.
No, what do you want this on? Order runner.
That's right. Yeah. So with the quotient rule, when we're dividing, like we saw in the warm-up, if we're dividing our bases, what are we doing with our exponents? If I'm dividing my base, what do I do with my exponent? You subtract, right? And we subtract downward always. You don't want to do biggest minus the smallest. You always do top minus the bottom. So for number 1, 2 to the 4 minus 2 gives me 2 squared. It's just equal to 4. Right? So if our exponent on top is bigger, and we get a positive exponent, we just leave it. But in number 3, if I have a smaller exponent on top, right, like I've got that 1 on the top, what's 1 minus 4? Negative 3. Now, because I have a negative exponent here, I'm going to put it over 1 and flip it. I saw some people yesterday putting everything over 1 and flipping it. You only want to do that if it's negative. Flip that around. We get 1 over 7 to the third power. Which would be 343, something like that. I don't know. Number 4. 4 minus 1 gives me 2 to the third. That's equal to 8. No flipping needed because my exponent turns out positive. Welcome back. Now for number 5. If I subtract down, I get 7 to the 2 minus 2. What's 2 minus 2? What's 2 minus 2? 0. So I get 7 to the 0th power. What's anything to the power of 0 again? 1. And this makes sense, right? Here's kind of why something raised to the 0th power is equal to 1. We can look at it like this. If we have 7 squared over 7 squared, what is 7 squared? 49. So I've got 49 over 49. What type of fraction is this?
Equal fraction.
It's an equal fraction or a whole fraction. So what is 49 divided by 49? 1. Look at that. Same thing. Okay? Anytime we have the same thing over itself, that is equal to 1. So by using the quotient rule with a problem like this, it kind of proves to us, oh, if I raise something to the power of 0, that's going to be equal to 1. Okay? Same exact thing in number 6. We get 8 to the power of 0, which is then equal to just 1. down to number 7. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So 1/6. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. So 1/9. Number 9. If I do the quotient rule, I got 3 to the 3 minus 0. What's 3 minus 0? 3. Now, what did we say 3 to the 0th power was equal to again? Or anything to the 0th power? 1. So if I have 3 to the 3rd over 1, do I need that 1 on the bottom? No. So my answer is just 3 to the 3rd. Boom. We got the same thing by doing the quotient rule. Same thing over here. If my denominator is just 1, my answer is just 6, whatever's on top. All right? Everyone good on the front? Okay. To the back we go. Negative 3 minus 5 more gives me 9 to the negative 8. Put it over 1. Flip it around. You got a positive? So if we do, I totally get it. If we do the top minus the bottom, negative 3 minus 5. Because we've got two negatives, right, and we're subtracting, we get a bigger negative, and that gives me negative 8. Now, if we have something like here where the positive number's on top, and we subtract downward, now we've got those two minus signs right next to each other. Those are going to form a plus. And because my exponent is positive, I'm not going to flip it around. I'm going to keep it as 7 to the 6th. Number 13. What did you guys get? 7 squared?
We got 7. I got 7 over 2.
7 over 2?
No, 7 to the power 2.
Yeah, 7 to the power.
7 to the power of 2. Oh, yes, I see. So we got to be careful, right? Because it's always going to be this number minus this number. So if the bottom number is already a minus, then we have those two minuses next to each other. And those make a plus. So that's how we get 6. Number 13, negative 1. What's my exponent on the bottom? 1. So negative 1 minus 1 gives me negative 2. Put it over 1. Flip it around. Now you get 1 over 64. Or 1 over 8 squared. Same thing. Now with number 14, we got to be extra super specially careful because we've got a negative minus another negative. So this is going to look like something minus something. My first number is negative 6. My second number is negative 2. What happens with these two minus signs right next to each other again? Makes it positive. So now I've got negative 6 plus 2. Negative 6, positive 2. Which one's bigger, the negative or the plus? The negative's bigger. How much bigger is 6 than 2? 4. So I get 10 to the negative 4th. Put it over 1, flip it around, make it positive. Add 4 zeros to that 1. 1 over 10,000 is what we get. I don't need the rulers. Number 15, again, double negative. 6 to the negative 5 minus 6. Two minuses make a plus. We get 6 to the first power, which is just 6. Negative 4 minus 6, 2 to the negative 10th. 1 over 2 to the 10th. 8. That's going to be too big. I'm not going to worry about working that out. Number 17, 3 to the 0. That's just 1. So I get 1 over 3 to the 5th. Makes my life easier when I know that. Negative 1 minus 5 gives me negative 6. Put it over 1, flip it around. You guys know the drill. 1 over 6 to the 6th. 2 minus negative 3. 2 minuses make a plus. And negative 2 minus 4 gives me negative 6. Put it over 1, flip it around, make it positive. There's our last answer.